Welcome to Noni's Crafty Kids. Today we're going to be working on a superhero cape for our superhero action figures. We'll be working on one just like this, which is fairly straight across the bottom and straight across the top with connecting loops to put on your superhero's shoulders. Now here's a Batman in urgent need of a cape to complete his supersuit. But he may be disappointed because we're not going to make a gray or even a black or dark blue cape today. We're going to make a bright pink cape because pink rubber bands really show up well on the Rainbow Loom, and they're good to use for videos. Now, to get started, configure your Rainbow Loom like this. Move your peg rows so that you do not have the arrow pointing out, but so that all of the pegs are in rows straight across. That's how we're going to get the straight edges on our superhero cape. So the second thing I'm going to show you is that you just start out placing loops in single rows. Single loops placed one after the other all the way up the row to the end. And you're going to do this on all 3 rows of your Rainbow Loom, all the way up to the end. Do not put angled rubber bands at the beginning or at the end. Okay? So that's how we start out. You really don't need me to demonstrate that for you. I'm pretty sure all of you know how to do that for yourselves. The next step, again, we're using crazy colors so they show up in the video. The next step is to place 1 rubber band hanging on this left peg of your Rainbow Loom. Starting from where the arrow's pointing away from you, you start on the left side, put 1 hanging loose and another straight across. Now this might remind you of when you're doing a triple single and you put those triangles on. But this is not a triangle, you just go straight across. And you do that on every row of pegs. 1 hanging loose and 1 straight across. 1 hanging loose, 1 straight across. You'll notice we put the hanging loose first and then straight across because that way they don't fall off. So just keep on going right up the loom. No problem. And this is so very simple that I don't think you need to see me do the entire loom. So I've done a few ahead of time. But we come right up here to the very last row of pegs. This would be the one furthest away from you. We're going to put the same hanging loose one on, but instead of going straight across, we're going to change this just a little bit. We're going to go on and we're going to twist it. You can twist it once or twice, doesn't matter. And that just is a slight detail that makes a good improvement on your superhero cape. And you can shake all those loose ones down so they're out of your way. Now we're going to start right here and loop. Again, we'll stop the video after I do just a couple of these because it's so very simple. You know how to do this. All right, you reach down under the cross one, bring it up, and this one is still hanging loose. it's caught in the loop of your basic bands. But it's still not looping over anything else itself, because we need that just like this. All right, one more time. Reach underneath, catch the bottom, loop on each peg, loop it to the forward peg. That didn't catch. Now, I've gotten out of order. This is a good lesson to show how to catch yourself. Down here, I've got nice teardrop shapes. Up here, I've got some teardrop shapes, but because Nonni is trying to do 2 or 3 things at once, I've skipped 2 entire rows. Okay, now we have a lesson on how to redeem it. Come back here, grab one of your mistakes, the first, well, let's call that the last mistake that you made, the most recent mistake you made. Loop that and put it back where it started. Get it all the way down. Okay. Catch this, pull it so it's down on the bottom again where it's supposed to be. We'll do this one. Just use your hook to loosen it, put it down on the bottom where it's supposed to be. All right, there's another one that's wrong. We'll catch that, put it back on the original peg, then use your hook to draw it down where it's supposed to be. Okay, have we corrected our mistake? There's teardrops. Here's no teardrops. All right, we're back in order. That's what Nonni always tries to do. I am never perfect, but when I make mistakes, I try to learn from my mistakes. I'm not the fastest with the Rainbow Loom, but I usually manage to muddle through somehow. Okay. Now, I'll stop the video here, and you can do the rest of the loom yourself all the way up to the top. And then we'll start again, and I'll show you what to do next. Here we are. I've finished all of my looping all the way up to the last row. And I always try to check, because I make a lot of mistakes, to make sure that all of my teardrops are in place. You can also check down below, because this will also show you if you've missed a loop. And look there. That is out of place. And if I take it off the loom now, this will completely fall apart. So I'm going to pause the video and go back. I will unloop each of these back to where the mistake is. And then I'll catch that up and come back to where I'm supposed to be. So if you make mistakes, no worries, just learn how to correct them. How to correct this again: take your loop, bring it back over the previous peg, ease it down to the bottom. Take this one over the previous peg where it started out, bring it down to the bottom. Here we are on this one, back to the previous peg. We don't want that one to come off. I'm going to hold this with this hand, use my hook to catch that, ease it back over. Now, I can use my hook again to open this up. That just doesn't want to stay on. Push it down. There. Now ease that down to the very bottom. So for some reason, this was misplaced instead of being on top of this one. This one should have been on the very bottom. So I'm going to catch these bands, hold it on my hook, remove that one that's out of place, catch this also, hold it on my hook, and with my fingers put that down where it's supposed to be. So now put 1, 2, and 3 back in place. Okay? So this needs to come up through from the bottom, catching all of those rubber bands this time. And now they're caught. And I can go back, work my way back up the loom, re-looping the loops that I removed. And now we're back up here, ready to do our final row. I do want to mention, be sure these little hangy loose things are over here so they're caught as you loop. Like that. All right, center one, and the final one. There we are. No more mistakes. Check the center, turn it around, check the other side, and we're good. So, finally, we're ready here, and we're going to end off this part of the cake in the same way that you would do so many of your other bracelets. Let's try to keep this on. It'll be easier if these stay on. Okay. Bring your hook in through the center and around. Grab a rubber band, bring it up here, and there. Now, what's different? I'm going to pull it to a slip knot, just like that. Center one, do the same thing. Grab rubber band, pull it through, and then pull it through itself to make a slip knot. Okay? One more time. Bring this through. Try to remember not to lift my hook so high that I get my loops off the peg. Bring it through, and you have a slip knot. Now we're ready to take this off the loom. All the way down to the end. Okay. There is half of our superhero cape. We go back and we start over again exactly the way we began. Starting down here with the arrows facing away from you. Take your main color, and once again load your entire loom with single rubber bands in 3 rows all the way up the loom, from the very beginning to the very end. And I'll come back and show you what to do next.